This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 538 for the week of May 24th, 2026. Hello and welcome back to Kanzenshuu, the podcast, an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site. We call it Kanzenshuu. We cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. Hey everyone, it's Mike. You may see me around the internets as VegettoEX. I am live on Twitch right now recording this here episode. As we were talking about before the episode proper, I need to get something out this week. I had some things I wanted to detail. I need to get things in the podcast feed ahead of next week. We'll talk about that momentarily. And I'm like, if I just kind of like rustle up the energy to do it live, the energy will then exponentiify. Real words, look them up. And so that's what we're doing. We're recording live on my personal Twitch, twitch.tv/VegettoEX. Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. It's going to be a good time. We got some things to chat about here. I'm going to take some questions from the live audience. They've been chatting here along the way. Great to have you with us. See a lot of familiar faces. Love to see some new faces. Come hang out, come chat. It's already been recorded, so you can't do that now, I guess. Hey, things I want to chat about before we get to the things I want to chat about. I'm going to throw this up at the top of the show because this is important to know that it's coming up next week on Saturday, May 30th, from roughly 1 p.m. Eastern to roughly 6 p.m. Eastern. Mike, VegettoEX, on behalf of Kanzenshuu, am going to be running a live stream charity fundraiser. No, not next week, this week. You're right, Nordy. It is the coming week. As you listen to this episode, coming in a few days. Saturday, May 30th. For my own, so I think people forget about this. Kanzenshuu is not my job. It's not anyone's job. This is a thing we do on the side. I'm going to do a live stream charity fundraiser for my real life job, which is a national nonprofit here in the U.S. called Safe Project. I think it's very important. Addiction and recovery support services, information. There is an addiction epidemic in this country and worldwide. And we're doing everything we can to combat that epidemic right now. So I'm going to be doing a live charity fundraiser on behalf of my own job. We are a true 501c3 national nonprofit. This isn't some money laundering scheme, I assure you. I'm going to be doing that for a few hours. So what's on tap for that stream? Well, the reason I want to promote it here on Kanzenshuu is I'm going to be playing Dragon Ball video games for a long time. I think I teased this on Mario Kart Night. I plan on beating Final Bout on the hardest difficulty. We'll see how that goes. I do have a cheese way of doing that, and that's what we'll do. I think we're going to play some Dragon Ball Z 2V as well live on stream. Probably do a little Super Butoden 2, Hyperdimension, stuff along the way. But beyond that, also what I'm going to be doing is playing some interview clips, folks, colleagues from work, supporters as well. I got a lot of really, really cool stuff. And in addition to all that, during the stream, you will be able to request absolutely free of charge. My boss, the CEO of Safe Project, is going to mail it to you. A completely free overdose response kit. All you got to do is just fill out a form and we're going to mail one to you. So that's a cool thing that's coming up during the charity stream. And then during the stream, I've got a couple donation levels that I'm working on. If I see a $50 donation come in from someone, I will work with you on a podcast topic selection for the future here on the show. If you donate $100, I'm going to send you a magazine or two in the mail. I got dupes. I got to get them out of this house. And that's actually a little bit of a tease for a new Patreon tier we have right now. There is a $100 a month new Patreon tier. I see a lot of folks do this with like just throw a crazy amount out there, and independently wealthy people who want to support you may do so. If you subscribe to the Patreon tier at $100 a month, I'm going to send you one of my Dupe magazines and a personal message every month. So I'm going to use the fundraiser stream as a kind of like lead in and promotion for that. That's what's on tap Saturday, May 30th, 1 to 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a great time. There'll be a lot of great Dragon Ball stuff in there. There's some other stuff. There might be a live reading from yours truly. We'll see what we got going there. That's it. Then we're going to take a break for a couple hours and play Mario Kart like usual that night. So that's what's on tap. Thank you everyone for coming to check it out. The place, this is the important information. The place you're going to see that is right here on my personal Twitch, twitch.tv/VegettoEX. I will do my best to have something up on all the socials as it's going on. It's just me solo, so I got to remember to do everything. I'll make sure to put something up on the homepage of Kanzenshuu as well. So that's the important thing for the top of this episode, to know what we got going on in a little under a week here. Very excited for that. So with that out of the way, other things we have on tap this episode, this actual podcast that you're listening to right now. I'm going to talk about a new article we have on the website. I'm going to talk about some stuff I got in one of my new proxy boxes. And we'll talk about what's been going on with the Wiki since the launch. So that's it. Those are the various topics. Let's insert the topic music here and go over to the topic right now. So the new feature article, it's been a hot minute since we did a feature. This is a smaller feature. It's more of just a straight up article, but I don't really have a place to put things other than features. Is what I've called Not Quite Lost in Translation, More Akira Toriyama Manga in English. And really the deal here is we've got Dr. Slump, we've got Dragon Ball. We've got Koa, we've got Sandland, we've got Jocko out here in English. And then when we got Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater, that made a big dent in the Toriyama manga that was not previously available here in English. There's a lot of stuff that's missing, but there are four Toriyama manga that have been released in English beyond those heavy hitters that you can't really buy anymore. And Viz has basically copped to as much. It's not really the phrase. They've copped as much to as much. Again, Mike and the phrases, not the best. So we're going to start back in 2007. Hey, bonus for the live stream here. I'm holding them up live on camera. You can just see the photos over on the main article, but that's all right. 2007, when Viz had their Shonen Jump print magazine. This had been going for a few years at this point. This is the October 2007 issue, a special Dragon Ball collector issue of the magazine. Dragon Ball had been out for a while. Once they got to the end of the Cell arc, they took Dragon Ball out of the print magazine and went straight to graphic novel editions for the Buu arc. But, it'd periodically come back and they do some special stuff in here. And wouldn't you know it, in the back of the Dragon Ball collector issue, October 2007, there's our boy, Nekomajin. This is Nekomajin Z5. The final chapter of Nekomajin. Is just such a funny thing about it is that there's no 5 on the chapter title. And there on it, they took the 5 off. This is the only one that they've released in English. This is an official, true Viz release of Nekomajin Z5 in print. This is the only place, the only place that you can read Nekomajin Z5 anywhere in English. Something in my throat there. This is crazy that they put this in this magazine once, took the chapter title off of it, or the number off of it, and never released it anywhere again. We're going to talk about some other things where it did actually appear in some other places. There is a Blue Dragon ad on the back of this issue, which, makes sense with the other stuff that's in here. It's just wild to me that Nekomajin Z5, again, so many questions I have here. Does that mean they licensed the single chapter of it? Did they license the entirety of Nekomajin? And I don't know, maybe looked for what would the reaction be to their including it here once, and maybe that would drive a future release of it. I really have a hard time understanding. This is, I don't want to say it's still contemporary. It's much closer to Nekomajin's original release in 2026 is, consider They put out the Kanzenshuu edition of Nekomajin in 2005, I think it was. So 2007 was only a couple of years removed from kind of like the latest Nekomajin hype in Japan, other than some other stuff, like he was included in Buku Resen, only the Japanese version, as a bonus character. All the Nekomajin have been in Dragon Ball Heroes over the years too. But when you think about 2007, like that was a perfect time to consider maybe releasing Nekomajin in English. All y'all folks from all y'all other countries have Nekomajin and a variety of other things in English. And it is wild that it's just this one issue of this magazine has a single chapter of it in English. That's all they've ever given us. Yeah, throw it on the floor because we're done with Nekomajin. So that's that. What are we up to next? The next one to come out from Viz with a limited release in English, but it has been released, is we're sticking with the Shonen Jump print magazine here from Viz. This is a couple years later. Again, this is the April 2011 issue. What do we see there on the cover? We see Goku. We see One Piece, Dragon Ball, Cross Epoch is in here. Man, so can I? Yeah, I have it right here. Wow, that was easy to grab. This is the 2007 number 4, number 5 issue of Weekly Shonen Jump. This was the original publication of Cross Epoch here. So we're going from 2007. This actually came out Christmas 2006, because you think of how magazines are forward dated a little bit here. So we went from 2006 all the way here to 2011 with Viz when this one came out here. Where is it in the magazine? It's in the back. There you go. Look at that. Cross Epoch, available in English. Cool thing about it is they did, in fact, you got the color pages there at the back. So very cool of them to include it here. Actually, there's 3 color pages. There's one and then the 2-page spread there at the back. Very cool that we got this for this, cool celebration opportunity there over in the magazine. So Viz actually has released this in a couple other places. Just scrolling down the article here. It was put out so Viz does these like giant box sets of manga, and One Piece box set 3 that came out in October 2016 has Cross Epoch in it, alongside with a Toriko and One Piece crossover from 2011, which is funny because like 2011 is when that Toriko one came out, but 2011 is when they put Cross Epoch in their magazine. So the dates just all kind of scrubbed together. What I love about this and Viz is someone asked them in 2017 on Twitter, like, hey, where can I get this? And they said, why don't you check eBay? Like, my friends, come on, you got to have a better way for folks. At least it is there in the One Piece box set. That is a place that you can at least sort of find it. So there we go. That's the next one. We went from Nekomajin Z5 to Cross Epoch. That brings us to, hold on, I got to throw these magazines on the floor. Pick them up later. That brings us to 2012, when we have we've moved from the print magazine of Shonen Jump to the digital arena. We aren't yet at the true week-to-week simulpub of everything. We're doing kind of delay-based stuff. This was Shonen Jump Alpha at the time, and this is the Shonen Jump Alpha Yearbook 2013. This was sent to subscribers of Shonen Jump Alpha at the time, and we're going to open this up here. I actually have this one bagged and boarded. Cool thing that is in here is we're flipping the pages. We have an English translation of Sachi-chan Good. This is the first entry in the Galactic Patrol saga, if you will, by Akira Toriyama and Masakazu Katsura. Sachi-chan was originally published. Let's pull up the article so I get this right. Yes. Originally published back in 2008 in a magazine called Jump Square. So not actually Weekly Shonen Jump, but over in Jump Square. awesome thing, and awesome in quotes, and by awesome, I don't mean awesome, about the print version that was sent to subscribers. It's incomplete. It's only the first so many pages of Sachi-chan. If you want the full English translation by Viz, you had to be subscribed at that time, and it was added to your digital library. That is the only place and way that you can read Viz's English translation of Sachi-chan Good, because the yearbook that they sent to subscribers is incomplete. Unlike Cross Epoch, it's not slid in anywhere else. Unlike something else that we're going to talk about in a minute, it's not included with many other bundles. That's the only place. Now, there is another product out there called Katsura Akira that was released in Japan that includes a combined Sachi-chan and Jia. It's a single tankobon. I've got it over there. I'm sick of getting up to get other books, so I'm not going to go grab it. That released in Japan, that's got them, but not here in the U.S. So for and from Viz, Sachi-chan is basically unavailable to anyone if you were not subscribed to Shonen Jump Alpha in 2012 to get it added to your library. So, bummer there. And then let's get the last one here that I can't actually show you because it's not print. Let's see. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to grab the 2010 number 50 issue. Here's right next to my Cross Epoch issue. The next manga we're going to talk about is Kintoki, Toki of the Golden-Eyed Tribe, which was a fairly modern Toriyama one-shot that ran in the 2010 number 50 issue of Weekly Shonen Jump. And for the live streamers, this is the issue that ran in. Yes, we have One Piece on the cover, but you see, we've got Toki up there in the corner. I love Kintoki. It's just like all of Toriyama's one-shots, you get a boy and a girl. They get combined, not literally like fusion, into a little duo, and maybe get some other friends added to the mix. They go on an adventure. They come up against an adversary. In like 40 pages, you have a complete story. It's just a cool, cute little story. It's nice to have in its original Weekly Shonen Jump printing because there have not been any modern new collections of Toriyama manga for it to be included in. So why am I talking about here with Viz? Well, Viz included Kintoki, which they called Kintoki, Toki of the Kinmei clan. Kinmei just meaning golden-eyed. I don't know why they chose to leave it untranslated. They released it as part of the January 28th, 2013 issue of their Weekly Shonen Jump digital publication. So we have moved from alpha and the delayed stuff to the true simulpubs. Although Kintoki was old at that point. It was a couple of years old, but they just randomly included it in that issue. The nice thing about those issues, the digital issues at the time, were if you were subscribed, great, you got it. They were also available for a little bit of time longer than that, where you could just buy issues for like $1 a pop. So if you weren't subscribed and you found out, oh my God, they included a Toriyama manga in this issue, let me just, pay the blood money of $1 and get it. You got it, and you've had it in your library ever since, which is precisely how I have it. I was not regularly subscribed, but I bought that single issue. So the thing with Kintoki is that it has a little bit more of availability. I've got a screenshot on the website article here from Viz where they've included it in some Dragon Ball bundles. There have been a couple that they've called like the Over 9000, the Dragon Ball Full, DBZ Full, like these specific named bundles of Dragon Ball manga. Digital specifically, they will include Kintoki as part of that digital purchase if you buy them direct from them. So, be on the lookout for buying a complete digital bundle of some Dragon Ball manga from Viz, and you may have the opportunity to get Kintoki there. So, hey, folks, those are 4 Toriyama manga officially translated and released in English by Viz that you can't really buy anymore. The Shonen Jump print magazines, those 2 issues, the Dragon Ball Collector issue, the October 2007, and then the Cross Epoch from the April 2011 issue. You can probably find those on eBay. I was actually subscribed to that magazine for a while. And so that's how I got that Dragon Ball Collector one. But then for 2011, I think like later that year, I just bought that entire year's worth of magazines off eBay. I don't know what the prices are like these days. Sorry. Take a look. We've got a good question from Nerdy Norwegian here in the chat. Do we know who translated these? Yes. Viz actually credits their translators even in the print magazine. So we've got the names of all those. So I've got the names of the translators and the letterers and the editors as appropriate and as available for all 4 of those over on the main website article. So check out there. Make sure you get all the due credit to everyone on those. That's that. Yeah. And I'll pause for questions before we move on to the next segment here on this podcast episode. Had a question from Russ here. How much overlap, if any, was there with the Japanese and the U.S. versions of Jump? Was everything published in the U.S. version, older stuff? So for the print magazine, it was all older stuff at that point. Like when it started in 2002 for the 2003 calendar year. That sounds about right. I mean, it was the beginning of One Piece, the beginning of Naruto. For Dragon Ball, it wasn't the beginning because they had been printing, the monthly floppies and then graphic novels for a while. So they actually picked up with like Trunks. No, they had some Frieza stuff in. Did they have Frieza? We've got a website and a wiki. Here we go. Shonen Jump monthly print magazine. We go over there. I love this. Let's go. January 2003 issue, Dragon Ball Z chapter 134, which is Planet Namek fades out. So yeah, it's the very end of there going on to, yeah. So they basically pick up with Trunks there in that magazine. But then we would have some other stuff show up. We got like Hikaru no Go that started in there. And I'm trying to think. Yu-Gi-Oh was in there. Yu Hakusho was in there. The magazine changed over time. Let's look here. I was going to say, let's see what else is in this 100th issue spectacular. Oh, yeah, that was the thing. That's why Cross Epoch was in here. It's the 100th issue of the print magazine. Let's see what other series are in here at this time. We've got Yu Hakusho. We've got Gintama. We've got Tegami Bachi. Oh, Letter B. We've got Slam Dunk, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sandland. Sandland was serialized from the beginning of the print magazine. Shaman King, Bobobo. There's I guess that's what was running here at the time. No, this is just a celebration of all their heroes. That's not necessarily what's running in the magazine at that time, but I think that's a pretty good overview of the kind of stuff that was running in the magazine. Oh yeah, Bleach. What else we got in here? Y'all got manga? What we got? One Piece. Oh, we're into the Paramount War. Oh yeah, chapter 582, Luffy and Ace. Oh, okay, yeah, this is Gray Terminal. Hey, some important One Piece stuff in there. Let's see. Anything else? Other questions we had along the way. Why is Mary texting me photos? What we got? Texting me photos of her cats. Let's see. Other questions we had from folks. We got the Blue Dragon. Okay, so we're back there. Nerdy Norwegian, going back to Nekomajin stuff. Who did the voices for Nekomajin in Dragon Ball Heroes? I don't remember off the top of my head, but we've got those names somewhere. Oh yeah, did I have it in the wiki? I don't know. It's in there somewhere. Oh yeah. The only thing I've got it was for his transformation and a list of characters. Yeah, I got a lot more stuff to be added in there. No, Russ, I don't think the Shonen Jump print magazine ever did JoJo. they did some early releases of JoJo's over here, and then, like many things, suddenly there's an anime, and all of a sudden they have an interest in going back and releasing something. See also The Adventure of Dai, which is back on from Viz these days. All right, I'm going to leave it there. We're going to move on to just some extra stuff we got going on around the site, what's going on, things that have come in, just updates and projects that have been going. So for a while now, for many years, and especially with the yen to dollar exchange rate heavily in our favor, even with some of the tariff bullshit, I've really been trying to stock up on documentation here. Magazines that I need, stuff I've never been able to find. I've been looking for them. I've been grabbing them. I'm trying to get everything I can. There's a lot of magazines, a lot of books in here. So I just want to tell you about some of the things that I got in the most recent box, and some of the reasons for it. So this is the December 1998 issue of V-Jump. So we've got Dragon Quest Monsters on the cover. That's Terry there, in case you don't know. V-Jump doing really interesting stuff at this era, where we're getting some CG design covers that are credited to someone just called Kayo, Kayo. We've had some Osamu Kaneko covers at the time. We've had some Nakatsuru. We've had some Toriyama. The reason why I needed to pick up the December 1998 issue of V-Jump is not this, but this is chapter 13 of the Dr. Slump reboot manga at this point. The Dr. Slump TV anime reboot started in 1997. So too did the Dr. Slump manga reboot over here in V-Jump, which was drawn by one Tadayoshi Yamamuro. And the reason why it's drawn by Yamamuro is because a one Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru was busy at the time, because Nakatsuru was working on the Cashman manga reboot over here in V-Jump. And so this issue has the 17th and final chapter of the Saving Soldier Cashman reboot manga. I could not find... I mean, I knew this manga existed, obviously, and I knew all of the issues that it was in because I knew how many chapters it was, but I could not find any trace of this chapter's existence in terms of things like, what's its title? How many pages is it? What's its story content? I couldn't find any images out there about it. And this is the one issue that I did not have of its run. The Cashman manga did get a collected edition in Japan that only had the first 13 chapters of the manga. It is the 17 chapter series. So those final 4 chapters, the only way that you know what they are or what's in them is if you get the original V-Jump serialization. So I had to get the final chapter for myself and get its title up there, which was Bire Tejion. Oh, yeah, it's like the word television rearranged, basically going back to his home planet there. It was a struggle to get this issue because I could not buy just this issue. To get this issue, I had to buy a lot of about 3/4 of the issues from 1998. All the others of which I already owned. So that's why I'm saying I got a bunch of duplicate issues. I got to get them out of this goddamn house. Sign up for that new Patreon tier. Join me for the charity stream. Donate at that level, and you might get some 1998 V-Jumps. I saw a question from someone earlier. Was it Nerdy? Was it someone else? If you subscribe at that tier or if you donate at that level during the charity stream, do you get a choice of what magazines? Absolutely not. It is going to be a complete and total surprise. I will keep track of what I send out. So if you do subscribe at that tier, I will shift things around to make sure I'm not just like, here's April 1998. Here's May 1998. I've got a good variety of magazines that I can shift around. But yeah, this was one of the struggles. It was something like $120 for this lot of issues from 1998. And really what I needed was this one issue. It was the only one I had seen on any of the secondhand sites in like the year that I was looking for it. So finally I bit the trigger, as a wise man once said, and I grabbed it. So I'm glad to finally have that, but it was an investment. So patreon.com/Kanzenshuu. Make your voices heard. Other cool stuff. I guess let's stick with a little bit of Dragon Quest. As some of y'all know, I've really fallen down the rabbit hole of Dragon Quest manga out there. Really learning about how it all came to be, what the big series are, who the big artists and authors are. And it kind of all started actually from the first trial run of V-Jump, where it was those 3 issues there from 90 to 91. And the first 2 issues have this short series that never finished. It was only 2 chapters. They thought they were going to get a 3rd chapter, and I'll tell you about the 3rd chapter in a second. That takes place in the Dragon Quest 1 universe. And as I was doing that, like, complete list of V-Jump pages, just thinking, I got to cite what these are, because it's Toriyama adjacent. Initially, I was only doing Dragon Ball chapters, but then I was like, well, I got to put in the Dr. Slump chapters. And if I do that, well, I'm definitely going to put in the Cashman chapters. At this point, it should be like anything with a Toriyama design. Even if he wasn't personally involved, I should probably list here. So that's how I started doing all the Dragon Quest stuff. And I didn't see any real information about those chapters in there. The reason that series was left unfinished is because then the 3rd issue of the first trial run came out. And speaking of, The Adventure of Dai, the original version of the anime adaptation, was on TV at the time. And they were pushed into doing a prequel chapter about Avon, which has since been adapted into the series. I think twice now. No, maybe just once. I'm not that far enough in the Dai TV series to have checked it out. I'm really excited to see it. And then the trial run stopped, and they did another trial run of 4 issues, which had different stuff in there. So just learning about all this Dragon Quest stuff just sent me down, again, so many different rabbit holes. So that team that did those early chapters, they came back. There's the Dai folks, the original, Inada. Here, I got to pull up the names because I'm never going to remember this. I'm so bad at remembering their names, and I feel awful about it. Here, let's just do complete list of V-Jump. This is the secret sauce here. Just searching on your own site. Yes, Riku Sanjo and Koji Inada worked on this. Then they also did later, alongside the PlayStation 1 port of Dragon Quest IV, in promotion of that, they did a 2-chapter series. So this is actually the second re-release of these. This is the Shueisha Jump Remix collection of that Dragon Quest IV. It was like the Labyrinth of Hell manga, but then also the Dragon Quest 1 Dragon Lords Bari Bari team is in this as well. So, and then I found a 3rd collection of those that came out later as well for, I think, the 25th anniversary of Dragon Quest. So just getting in these books, just seeing what's in them. There's really cool notes from the authors and artists in there. Speaking of big series, The Adventure of Dai, look, you're going to want to tune in to the charity stream because I'm going to do an original panel that very few people have seen before. I did a trial run of it with some friends the other weekend. That's it. You're going to learn some more about some of the stuff and some of my big theories here. Anyway, The Adventure of Dai is probably the biggest, most well-known Dragon Quest spin-off series here in America. In Japan, there's another one called Emblem of Roto that Enix did on their own. This is Emblem of Roto Returns, which is not the sequel series to Roto that has infinitely more chapters and volumes than the original. This is just a one-off short collection of chapters that they put out. I couldn't find, like, how many chapters are there of this? What are they called? So I bought the volume. I wanted to show this off one more time. This is the Dragon Quest Monster Battle Road Victory manga that I discovered live on stream doing some wiki work. This is the one that's done by Naho Oishi and Osamu Kaneko. As part of that box, I did get in the other issues from V-Jump. Was it 2010? It actually says in the front of this, which is really nice. Oh, yeah, that's telling me the Japanese year. 2010, 2011, 2010 sounds about right. So I just got in the rest of those issues. I had already picked up the collected edition here, but I figured, hey, if I'm going to pick up all the manga about the game, the manga was made to support the Nintendo Wii port of the respective arcade games. Like, what if I bought the Wii game and just kind of check that out and saw what that was all about. So I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. Japanese year. Yeah, like the blank year of Showa, the blank year of Heiwa, like that kind of year, not like 1999. They generally use the Roman calendar? What do we use? Gregorian calendar? No, those are just the months. I don't know. All right, some other stuff I picked up. The guide for Dragon Ball Fighters, which is extremely useless these days because it only covers the launch characters. I mean, it's particularly useless to me because I can't really read the majority of stuff that's in here. But yeah, it only covers up to the launch characters. It does have, is this the DLC unlock for 21 back in the back there? But the reason why I wanted to pick up the guide was as I was doing some research on some other stuff, I noticed some very interesting Reddit posts out there. I was working on Planet Sharts, which is a planet that gets mentioned in a filler scene when Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz come back to chat with Frieza, Zarbon and Dodoria there. They're like, oh, yeah, what was it? They were like, yeah, I took it out in like 3 days. Like, oh, took you that long? And Zarbon's like, yeah, I could probably do it in one. Anyway, so this one planet just gets named this one time. That planet was renamed over in the English dub. Let's pull this up so I know what I'm talking about. In the English dub, which was, back in 99 when season 3 was coming out, for some reason they renamed that planet Shik, S-H-I-K. I know it's S-H-I-K and not the S-H-I-K-K that you oftentimes see out there, maybe on some other wiki-based documentation sites, because I turned on the fucking closed caption track and I looked at the exact spelling that it used there instead of just making it up on my own and writing what I think it said. Anyway, so they renamed that there, but that name has kind of stuck. Dragon Ball Fighters, this is where it comes back to Fighters here. Fighters has a bunch of titles. So you've got like your player card where you can put, some avatar choices and change the color scheme and give yourself like a custom title. And there are a lot of titles that are just the names of different races out there. And wouldn't you know it, Planet Sharts is mentioned in there and it gets renamed as Shikian over in the English release of Fighters. And I saw a Reddit post out there. I was like, what the hell is a Shikian? And no one could answer the question because no one has any idea about this stuff. So I'm like, oh man, I played Fighters, but I didn't unlock a ton of stuff in that game. I need to confirm for myself what all titles are in there. So I bought the strategy guide on the off chance and the hope that it would have a complete list of titles. It does. It's got a complete list of titles in there. So all the expected ones are in there. I see Meat. I see Sharts. I see Kanasa in there. All the people of those planets. That's a little title you can put in there. So I was at least able to confirm, hey, Sharts, Planet Sharts. Still sticking around. A little one-off mentioned filler planet from the DBZ TV series is a title in Dragon Ball Fighters. And I just think that's neat from a developer historical perspective where they know their stuff that well too, that for just random titles that players can add to their player cards, those planets are still mentioned in there. So yeah, the Dragon Ball Fighters guy, just to look up some titles. And then some last bits here. I don't want to say I bought these for Ken because I bought them for myself. But just as Ken's been doing the Toyotaro Dragon Ball AF research, In addition to the main AF volumes and chapters that Toible put out himself, Toible made some appearances in some other doujinshi collections. What I love about this second one in particular, so this is it's called Super Dragon Ball. I actually don't know because I don't see any furigana, so I don't know if they intend you to call it Super or Cho. But Toible has a bonus chapter of Dragon Ball AF here in this compilation. But the thing, and I think I shared this at least on Discord, maybe on social. I don't know if you see that image down there. If you followed along, you know what that is. That is Toible's message saying, hey, I'm sorry I haven't been able to work on this. I'm not going to be able to work on this anymore because there's some other stuff going on. That's a silhouette of Beat from Dragon Ball Heroes Victory Mission, which is kind of, we always knew that Toible was Toyotaro, but this was one of those prime examples of, hey, wait a minute. So to own in my own hands, yeah, I've got the cool extra chapter of AF, but that image that I've seen for so many years, to actually hold and look at it and think about, hey, that little image right there kind of set the stage of history for Dragon Ball. I just think it's cool to own that in person. But also Ken needed the chapter title for it, and we didn't have it in Japanese, so it's just nice to get all this kind of stuff. So that's just a small sampling of some of the things that I got in the recent box and some of the reasons for why I got some of that stuff in. There's a lot of times where I just need a title. I need a chapter title. I got to buy it. Like, there's literally no other way to get some of this information. What I do love about it, though, is that as I go through it, I'm always finding something new. I'm learning something new, particularly with V-Jump. As I flip through, I'm like, oh, here's the new series I didn't know about. Here's Naho Uishi doing a Dragon Quest manga that I didn't know existed. So very cool, very cool. Let's wrap things up here on this podcast episode by chatting a little bit about other Wiki stuff. And by that, I mean, basically just go check out the weekend Wiki wrap-up posts that I've been doing every Sunday over on the website. And it's basically just a quick little dive into, hey, who's worked on what are some cool things that we've edited? Here's just what we want you to tell you about, and just take a peek at some of the work that's been going on. This last week, I was out of town for a while. I know Ken's been out of town too. Other folks have just been traveling. So this was kind of one of the slowest weeks we've had since launching the wiki. I had to replace my scanner too. So just a lot of stuff going on and going around. So really the only significant thing that's been updated on the wiki this last week was the article for the Hera clan that you may see going around with Bojack from time to time. Went back. I've had a lot of this stuff detailed for a while, but finally just actually scanning, getting translations. Thank you, Zenpai, for chiming in with some of this stuff. Going back to the original source, like here's the dialogue from Super Butoden 2 where Hera clan gets mentioned. Here's the character profile from the Super Butoden 2 strategy guide that mentions Hera. And here's a similar one from an issue of V-Jump that mentions Hera. Like, these are the primary sources for this clan name back from its original era. So just getting that stuff scanned and dropped in there. That's really been the only stuff that's been going on the wiki this last week. A lot of AF stuff. I mentioned Cashman in there. Therese has been knocking some stuff out again recently too, digging up pages and stuff she'd written that just never got posted. So like the full character profile for Kale suddenly appeared on the wiki one day, which was nice. So that's kind of it. I'm going to pause and just hang out for a little bit more and chat with the Twitch audience here live as we're recording. Take some other questions, chat about some other stuff. I do see a question from Nerdy. What is your favorite non-official Dragon Ball related book? Is it the AF volumes or the old quiz books? Yeah, those old data quiz books are really something. Right now it's going to be the AF stuff though. I have the first 2 volumes of Toible's AF 3 and 4 get a little dicey because he starts doing like expanded, like finished versions of those. So I haven't picked those up yet, and those are a lot more expensive than 1 and 2. I mean, it's recency bias, but I think this doujinshi collection here with that little piece of history about Toyable saying what he's been up to is really cool to hold in my own hands and look at for myself. Really like seeing that there. Twitch, what else you got for me while we're here? I encourage anyone and everyone, drop some comments over here and let's see what we got. Can I talk a bit about the Dragon Ball GT comicalization? Yeah, I definitely can. So there's actually a couple things here. The official product is the Dragon Ball GT anime comic. That is an anime comic in the classic sense where they take screenshots from the show and they arrange them into manga panels and they add dialogue bubbles on top of them. That debuted over in Psycho Jump, which is the big thick boy magazine. Do I have one? I do have a Psycho Jump in front of me here. This is a recent issue. This is Psycho Jump and it's this thick. Do I have a tankobon around to compare? I do. This is Dragon Quest Monsters, American tankobon, but just in terms of like thickness and getting an idea of how these are big boys. So the Dragon Ball GT anime comic debuted in Psycho Jump many years back. We've got a page about it over in the manga guide. It was launched in combination with and in conjunction with and in promotion for Dragon Ball Heroes at the time, which was doing a huge focus on Dragon Ball GT. This is still pre-Super Dragon Ball Heroes. This is only the first or second update series into Dragon Ball Heroes. It was the Evil Dragons mission arc series. And so the Dragon Ball GT anime comic skipped ahead, stop me if you've heard this before, to the Evil Dragons arc, and that's where it started over in Psycho Jump, and it ran to the end of the series, and then it actually looped back around to the proper beginning of Dragon Ball GT and went through there, and then stopped right before, at the end of Baby. We've never gotten Super 17 in this format before. So the GT anime comic did just run in Psycho Jump. It was really there just as extra indoctrination for kids, tell them about GT, who's in it, who are these transformations, these characters, these settings, just get them, in love with GT. GT remains a huge piece of promotional ammunition for all these companies. I've talked about this a lot where, depending on the time of day and the year, you'll open up an issue of V-Jump and the first iconography you will see of the Dragon Ball franchise, more often than not, is GT. Whether it's the Super Saiyan 4 or one of the Evil Dragons or something, it's been used a lot. So the GT anime comic has been over for a while. I guess let's go over to the site because I can't remember all these dates off the top of my head. As far as I know, we have the only complete guide to the Dragon Ball GT anime comic that exists on the internet, unless anyone else has copied and stolen all the information from me in the time since. So it started back in December 2013 for the January 2014 issue of Psycho Jump there. And then that ran, we're just going to scroll. That ran through to 2019. I mean, it was there for a good number of years. It was only like 16 pages per chapter. I did a lot of work here when going through it and just saying like how many episodes each chapter adapts. And there's some that like multiple chapters in a row will all be the same episode. And then sometimes they'll just like cruise through like 4 episodes all at a time. So ultimately what we're talking about here is it runs to 2023. So not that long ago when the baby arc ends over in Psycho Jump. And that's been it. That's all they've serialized. The Evil Dragons arc did get a collected edition. There are 3 volumes of that you'll see out there. But the baby arc never got a collected edition, and the Super 17 arc never got serialized. So that is the Dragon Ball GT anime comic. We do have a complete page about it over in the manga guide on the site, so I encourage you to check that out. Separate from that, there is a bootleg Chinese manga adaptation of Dragon Ball GT that largely traces screenshots from the show. That is obviously not an official version of GT, but you will often see that mentioned alongside or confused with the Dragon Ball GT anime comic. Those are two separate products. One is official, one is very much not official. So, was the art and the manga new? It was they are literally screenshots from Dragon Ball GT. In fact, they are literally screenshots taken in the wrong aspect ratio from the Dragon Box DVDs, because they were taken at 720 by 480, which is using the non-square pixel aspect ratio for DVDs, was not a proper 4:3. They did not correct to 640 by 480 when they took those screenshots. Ask me how I know. Because I'm crazy. And we've got a comparison over on the manga guide page that shows why everything is just a little wider than it should be compared to the proper aspect ratio for the show. So good questions there. So we've talked about favorite non-official stuff. We've talked about the GT anime comic and the bootleg Chinese comic. I got a little bit extra time here, so maybe we'll take one or two other questions if anyone's hanging out and has any other questions or thoughts on stuff. But otherwise, this was good. Y'all really dragged me out of my hole today and put me back in the basement hole to do a podcast episode. But it's been good. Last call. Am I pro John 1000? I ain't got anything against John 1000. I'm looking forward to learning more about the game and what we truly have in store for us. Because I don't know. Let's see, we do actually have a couple more questions. Let's run through these real quick. In my opinion, what's the best version of the Zamasu arc? You know, you get good stuff in the TV series. There's no original thoughts here. You get Masako Nozawa's performance as Goku Black over in the TV series. That's kind of hard to beat. Shinichiro Miki as well. Truly incredible. Maybe some better characterization for Zamasu over there. But there's also some better stuff over in the manga. There's too many back and forths in general, regardless of which version there. If I were to go back, I mean, there's not much of a universe where I go back and rewatch the original Dragon Ball Super TV series as is. So if I were to do that, I would probably read the manga. Anyway, Nerdy says the worst version is the Sparking Zero version. Yeah, because it's every fucking story mode in that game. Gosh. Batista Bus, have you heard about the supposed original Toriyama sketches going up for auction? Yeah, I've read a lot of folks who are very sure about themselves having very different opinions and answers about that stuff. So I'm just kind of on the sidelines going, I don't know, y'all figure it out and deal with it from there. Yeah, it has been interesting to watch and see who thinks what and why about these sketches. I wish the best for all parties involved, I suppose. Folks, let's bring it to a close there. We got some reminders to do here. www.kanzenshuu.com. That is kanzenshuu.com. Central location for any and all things Kanzenshuu, including the podcast, which you are listening to and or watching right now. This episode recorded live over on Twitch. Very cool. This coming Saturday, May 30th, twitch.tv/VegettoEX, aka grabyournearest.com. Roughly 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern, I am running a live stream charity fundraiser, playing Dragon Ball games, playing interviews, doing an original panel, likely doing a live reading. Please come check it out. We've got cool prizes for different donation levels up through and including helping select a podcast topic and getting some of these damn magazines out of my basement. Would love to have you join us. Please look forward to it. Other things I want to mention. Nerdy called this out. I see Russ is in the chat. Let's just say I am on tour. I am doing podcast appearances. If you have a show, if you're a cool person, if you're a reasonable live human being, I would love to chat with you about pretty much anything and everything. I can talk about Dragon Ball. I can talk about running a website. I can talk about community management. I can talk about communications and marketing. Whatever you want to talk about, as long as I can plug the fact that Kanzenshuu is doing cool work out here, I'd love to chat with you and tell you all about it. So I do have a couple appearances coming up, very psyched. Friends and supporters of the site. We've got Nerdy here. We've got Russ here. We've got episodes of those coming out. Nerdy says my episode's coming out within like the next day. So look forward to that. Depending on when the audio version of this episode comes out, maybe I'll include that as a link. And if not, I'll let you know about it over on socials. So you check it out. And Russ is starting a new podcast interviewing people, and I was so appreciative to be asked to be the first one there. So look forward to that coming in the near future as well. Again, do you have a show? Want to talk to me? I got nothing going on right now. I'm pretty good. Let's chat. I just want to spread the good word about Kanzenshuu. That's all I want to do. So we talked about the main site. We talked about the podcast. We talked about the charity stream. We talked about upcoming episodes. Is there anything else to mention? I guess check out the wiki. It's there. It's going strong. Kanzenshuu.com/wiki. Check out the wiki, but don't forget about the main website. Main site is there. I think that's it. Let's bring it to a close. We've been chatting for like an hour-ish here. It's been good. I got to go edit this and throw this in a feed somewhere. So again, thank you everyone. I have been Mike, Vegito EX. I appreciate any and all of you. We had a good time recording live here today. Thank you much, everybody. I will see you May 30th for the fundraiser, but then I'll see you next time in the podcast feed and around the internets. Thank you, everyone. It's been a good time. Peace out. See you then.